What is up, kinfolk? Thank you guys so much for clicking on to the video. It's your boy Mogo here, and as always, I'm here with
BK.
And today, y'all, we are reacting to the results of the Texas Senate primary race that involved James Talarico and Jasmine Crockett.
Yes.
And so we are definitely really excited to kind of go through the autopsy and see what led to the results being what they are.
Yeah, and to kind of ground the conversation, because I know I've been covering this, I had 2 or 3 videos kind of leading up to the primary, looking at their websites, kind of have to like giving my take about their different campaign strategies and approaches to the race. But today I want to read from a Politico article from Black lawmakers and like people who would be considered Jasmine's peers. I want to do that because I kind of want to neutralize the conversation about who is talking about the race in terms of electability or her race, her gender, or how she ran the race. I feel like a lot of outside comments can be, even if they're valid, they can be dismissed.
And what would you consider outside? Like, who is outside?
Like people who are not Black, people who maybe are not lawmakers, and people who are not in Texas. So either all 3 or one of those 3.
I got you.
And so even though those comments may be, or critiques, whatever, may be valid, oftentimes they're kind of dismissed because it's like, well, you don't even live here. You're not even Black. You're not even a lawmaker. You don't even know. Shut the fuck up. You know,
can't vote in this race. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's also valid too. But I wanted to go through this article because it kind of shows a candid view on how some of Jasmine's colleagues, peers, etc., view how she ran this race, how she lost ultimately, despite having insane name recognition, DC experience, viral moments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She lost to Talarico, who is a state lawmaker, kind of an insurgent. People didn't really know who he was, but
he
was like
unknown.
He was
unknown in December of 2025.
Yes, yeah.
And I'll say relatively unknown compared to her. You know.
Yes, exactly.
She was going viral in January 2025, almost every other week. She was one of the sole voices actually fighting against Doge and calling out Elon Musk on a consistent basis.
Exactly. And also like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Nancy Mace, and like being the resistance and the like unabashed, unapologetic, very blunt resistance that the Democratic Party has needed to face the MAGA flank of Republicans for a long time. And that's why she's been so effective and so successful, because these people are so brazen. They don't care about rules. They don't care about decorum. And so you need someone to match that energy when calling that out and calling these people to the carpet. So it's like, you can't take that away from her. And I would never take that away from her. However, I think in this race, my assessment early on was that she was running a more run-of-the-mill establishment kind of centrist campaign. And Talarico, even though a lot of his positions aren't more progressive than Jasmine, his messaging on top versus bottom, his anti-corruption message, his anti-billionaire message tacked more to the populist left than it did the center or the establishment flank. Also, Jasmine was highly involved with the Biden-Harris administration and the Harris-Walz campaign.
Yeah, I want to say she actually she had a position on that campaign.
Yeah, she did. She did. And so, and that was like on her website, but Kamala lost. Walz lost. Like the stench of, the genocide from the Biden administration, the stench of just status quo establishment Dems that take dark corporate money, that era is over.
And she just didn't run on a message. And I feel like if you're going to be that centrist, if you're going to be that status quo individual, you have to have at least one thing that you can promise us that we can stick to and like remember.
Which is exactly what Talarico did. Because again, they both want to send defensive weapons to Israel. Neither of them have called it a genocide, right? On that front. In terms of healthcare, she's already co-signed on Medicare for all. He hasn't. We'll see what he does, whenever he gets there, if he wins the race. And on a couple of other things. Now, I will say his website issues page, policies page was more expansive, where you could just kind of see what technical policies he was going for. But to your point, because he's not this just bastion of leftism and progressivism, and on a lot of cases can be, moderate on or liberal on, he ran on a single message that billionaires are your enemy and they're fucking you over and they're giving you culture wars in exchange instead of paying their fair share in taxes, not putting their thumb on the scale when it comes to our politicians and buying our politicians. at the state level and at the federal level.
Yeah.
So,
and that's something we all know to be true and that we all feel a way about.
Yes.
And we remembered that. And I think more so than anything, he just energized people who would not normally vote.
True.
And that's what ended up costing her this race, because she did not have that effect.
Yeah.
Because there was no message. Like, I can't tell you what she was campaigning on.
No.
Outside of her being Jasmine Crockett and being the shit. You know what I mean?
That coupled with I went toe-to-toe with Trump and I went toe-to-toe with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And then just like kind of centered it around kind of the key figures within the MAGA movement, which almost was dated because, number one, Trump's about to die. And like the new era is going to come after him, right?
Marjorie isn't even in Congress.
There you go.
Like,
and Nancy Mace is irrelevant.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like she was attaching herself even to the old guard of MAGA, when really it's like this kind of America First, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, that type of flank, Candace Owens type of flank, even Ben Shapiro's kind of like yesteryear. So it wasn't updated even to the current zeitgeist of America First or MAGA in terms of the movement. Right. But then also it wasn't broad-based. He also engaged Latino voters who the Democratic Party basically gave up on because they were like, well, they swung double digits to Trump, whatever.
And it's like, we're stuck in this fuck around, find out nonsense that does nothing for anybody.
Oh, that's a great point.
It's just crazy to be a Democrat running in the state of Texas and not prioritizing the Latinx vote. To me, that is just choosing to lose, considering that they are the majority. Like, they are the majority over white people. Yeah,
they are.
Like, it's crazy that we're doing so much to try to flip this like diet George Bush-esque Republican,
right?
Whenever we could really just go and energize Latinx people, and they can have all of them niggas too.
Oh my God, that's incredible. Yeah, and that's exactly what won James this election, because he didn't do well with Black voters. I mean, we knew Jasmine was going to overperform with the Black vote, but I mean, he even had a comms channel online that was solely in Spanish, and he was speaking, and like the translations were there, like things like that,
like communicating to that actual community, so that you can make sure that you connect with them, so that you can make sure that they actually go to the polls.
Which is why this message of economic populism works so well, because we all feel disillusioned economically, right? And so if you voted for Trump in 2024, you damn sure feel disillusioned from the GOP because prices are up, wages are stagnant, jobs are down. We just, got the report back. Like we
see what ICE is doing in the streets.
That too.
I'm not voting for that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like they did not get what they promised. And so instead of like finger wagging at them or fuck around and find out, you say, hey, aren't you disillusioned by like the promise of the GOP? Well, come over here because I want to fight against political corruption. I want to try to put more money in your pocket, more autonomy, more democracy into your pocket. And with this, kind of Christian message, which speaks to, hey, we're in Texas. A lot of people, are voting based on religious lines and like, really kind of look for you to be a Bible thumping Christian a little bit. And so I think that worked out in his favor too, but it wasn't like preachy. It was just more so like Jesus would not stand for this corruption. Jesus would not stand for this. He was flipping tables. Like, I don't know. It was an interesting way that he messaged on that front.
Absolutely. But going back to the Latinx voter, they were right for the picking. And they still are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we definitely, as a Democrat, I would say we definitely have to do a better job of having messaging that is specific to their actual issues that are facing that community. And I think James did a great job of that, and Jasmine did not try in that way. I don't think there was much effort given to that. And I think that cost her big in this election. And that's not even to mention that she has offended quite a few people in that community with her statements about them having a slave mentality and not necessarily knowing what's best for themselves.
Yeah, and like
she's condescending, and it's also like, as a civil rights attorney, how complex the situation of anti-blackness and anti-brownness is in a white supremacist patriarchal culture.
Yes, especially in the Bible Belt. Like you should know better. And also you were asked in damn near every interview, like, do you want to kind of set the record straight on that? Or like, do you think that's going to cost you voters? And she was like, no, I think we'll be good. Like, and basically, I don't apologize. Like, she did not moderate on that.
Directly apologize, I would say.
Nah.
And that, I think that cost her really big,
Yeah. And like I always say, or not but just the saying goes, they can't clip what you don't give them. And so like, don't be saying shit like that, or they won't be able to clip it out of context. Just food for thought.
And if you're giving an interview where they're like trying to throw you the lay, they're trying to give you the alley-oop.
Like, dunk that bitch.
Put it in the basket.
All right, so I want to go to this article and just kind of like skim around a little bit. But you can see by the title, This L is on her. Black lawmakers and strategists dump on Crockett. And so this is kind of a very quick post-election, breakdown, kind of reaction from folks.
And this is written by Braxton Booker, but you're saying this is like a assortment, or
yes,
kind of like a lot of different people's opinion?
Yes, some people gave anonymous interviews. Some people put their name on the record.
And everybody here is from Texas, correct?
I don't believe so. Okay. But I think most, if not everyone, is Black. So like either Black and from Texas, or a lawmaker and Black, or an activist and Black, And so I kind of wanted to, as I was saying earlier, I wanted to kind of choose it that way, just to kind of neutralize the conversation and be like, okay, this is an in-house conversation we're having, so to speak. And what do we think from that point? Cool. So this article starts out by saying, Black Democratic strategists, lawmakers, and activists are frustrated that Texas Democrats rejected Jasmine Crockett as their Senate nominee Tuesday night, but they also saw it coming. So that's also what this story is. It's a tale of two tales, right? It's like, we saw it coming, but we're frustrated that Democrats rejected her. So she had a single-digit loss, right? But this is a capture of what they think went wrong. Her campaign was unfocused. She had an insufficient campaign infrastructure to challenge Talarico, even though she earned the backing of former Vice President Kamala Harris. They also said her media strategy relied too heavily on social media rather than television ad buys, typically seen as critical in a sprawling state like Texas and its nearly 24 media market. So Crockett did not run any TV ads. They were only on social media. Yeah. And she didn't have a campaign infrastructure. So that basically means a door knocking operation, people to put yard signs out, to knock on doors, give mailers, phone calls, that type of engagement.
And that's certainly in South Texas, but I honestly, now that I think about it, I don't think I've seen a yard sign here in Dallas County of Jasmine Crockett's.
No.
Like, I genuinely don't believe I've seen one.
I haven't. Unacceptable. And we didn't get anything in the mail. We live in District 30. We live in Crockett's district. And so
we're 75216.
Yeah. So, I mean, in the heart of it all. And so, we didn't see any engagement. Now, I didn't see any engagement on the Talarico side, but I figured maybe they thought, if we're spending money, we might not spend it there because she probably has it on lock, which she did. But I don't know. I'm just interested to see how that's going to pick up in the general, because we didn't get any.
No, you think it's having anything to do with a lack of funding though?
Probably.
So no, he did outspend her.
Yes. And also it's a primary election. So I don't know from the campaign side how they divvy those funds up, especially with the grassroots campaign with majority single dollar donations.
Which is also impressive.
Exactly. But Crockett also wasn't able to raise enough money. So, which is interesting because she is one of the party's best fundraisers, or has been. Yeah. So a lot of stuff. So this is from Texas State Representative Jolanda Jones, who is a Democrat. She says, people who don't understand politics will be upset because Jasmine was their hero. But for people who understand politics, Crockett literally had no ground game. She added, this L is on her. So that's exactly what we were just talking about. Yeah. Ground game, campaign infrastructure, that's just paid staff, paid volunteer, paid
door knockers,
canvassers, even if they're just volunteering, but having a paid volunteer campaign manager to direct those people. And it's a whole operation.
It's how you win elections. Look at Mamdani, you was able to organize 70,000 New Yorkers at a certain point.
Yeah.
Most of them being young people just out in the streets, going to bars, going to different people's homes.
Yep.
Door knocking and letting people know about
the campaign. Yeah, absolutely. I think it was 1 million doors knocked or 500,000 doors knocked. I mean, it was an insane number, an insane operation.
That's how you go from 10% to winning. Yeah.
Hello, and he started at 1. He was pulling at 1%. We won't be talking about that shit for generations. But okay, taken together, Crockett's campaign shortcomings doomed the upstart Senate bid of the 2-term Congress member who entered the contest with broad name recognition and hopes of showcasing her firebrand personality and penchant for viral moments to help Texas Democrats in their nearly 40-year winless streak in Senate races. So we are really trying to flip Texas here. We want to flip Texas blue. We've got John Cornyn and Ken Paxton running on the Republican side for that seat. John Cornyn is the incumbent.
And I believe Paxton is dropping out.
Oh, okay. So
I know that Trump has given Cornyn the endorsement.
Yes. Okay.
And so I do believe Paxton will follow suit and get about it there.
But I did see that Paxton said, hey, I'm staying in no matter what. We'll see if he has the courage to actually do that, amid the Trump pressure or the MAGA pressure, because he is just kind of like a cuck to MAGA.
Yeah.
But also, it's interesting because Trump's endorsements have not been really like cashing in for people lately.
Mm-hmm.
And Cornyn's an incumbent and he takes a lot of AIPAC money. So I'm just wondering what the strategy is going to be if he is, their nominee for the Republicans. Like, I guess he could run against the AIPAC thing. He could run against the Trump thing. I don't know. So we'll see how that actually pans out for him. But also, this is something that I wanted to kind of like talk with you about too, Morg, like, and what you think about this. So like, okay, it says still Black strategists and activists warn Crockett's loss will have ripple effects. They say the party rejected an established star in favor of an untested white state lawmaker over style. The two candidates did not substantively disagree on policy. Now, that we can kind of agree with that, right?
Absolutely.
They were not worlds apart. It wasn't like Cuomo and Mamdani, where it was like you had a Democratic socialist against like someone who really was basically a Republican for a conservative for the Democrats, right? In this race, they were both millennials. They were both basically progressive liberals, however you want to kind of categorize them. Yeah. And so it really did come down to messaging and ground game. And that's what I think we can focus on here. But what do you think about this portion of like raising concerns that Black voters, especially women, will not turn out when the party needs them the most because they're rejecting an established star that happens to be Black in favor of an untested white state lawmaker?
I mean, I think Black women have the right to be jaded. I think they have the right to like acknowledge the misogyny war that was a factor in this, because it certainly was.
Yeah.
But at the same time, historically, I know Black women will show up for the Democratic Party as they always have, since they are the spine of that party.
Yeah.
And so I do believe that they will vote blue no matter who.
In November, okay.
But I'm not mad at anyone for being upset that Jasmine didn't win, even though it is more so Jasmine's fault that Jasmine didn't win. Yeah,
and that's kind of something too. I think incredible points. I think that you have a right to be jaded, and we have a right to be jaded. Like I'm not a Democrat. Like I've voted in the Democratic Party, but like I have since given up on my place in that party as not only a Black woman in the establishment, but not only as a Black woman, but as a Black leftist woman, right? So I've looked beyond the Democratic Party. But if you're still buying into that system, I can totally see kind of like what media influencer Taylor Coleman, who was running for Congress, but I think got gerrymandered out, said, a lot of Black women who work in the Democratic Party vote for Democrats, organize for Democrats, and have always had a sense of this. She's based in Houston. It is a lot more apparent now. A lot of people in the Democratic Party want our labor. They do not want our leadership. And I think that that's true. They don't want Black establishment leadership. They don't want Black progressive or leftist leadership within the Democratic Party. That is very clear. Yeah. And even like Kamala mentioned this in 170 days of how like the Biden sabotage and like just the intra-party racism that's baked into the, whatever. But I
mean, he cut her down at the knees.
He did.
He was on some real foul time, and he called her before a debate.
Literally.
Some, I'm finna fuck with your head type of time.
Yes.
It was ugly.
I mean, but also Joe Biden is a fucking segregationist. And like,
we gotta be honest. He's the reason why she couldn't be bused to school.
she mentioned that in the debate. Yeah, when she was like in elementary, and she was like, I couldn't get bused because you were anti-busing because you were literally siding with segregationists. Like, as
you're writing the 94 crime bit, like.
Exactly. Yeah. But then like, it's just like, but then also, think about like the Kamala doing it for the love of the game. You willingly decided to drop out and become his vice president, right? To be used as a tool by the Democrats and by Joe Biden. And then of course,
further my career,
to further your career, only for him to rat fuck you later and you still be loyal to the nigga. Yeah. Like you really should have broke from him on the trail. That would have signaled to people like, hey, Biden is done. It's the Harris thing now. But like, then you reveal he was sabotaging you behind the scenes and you were still loyal. Like that was weird. And so I think Black women, I think we have to change the relationship we have with the Democratic Party. It cannot be the end all be all. I think you have to exist politically outside of the Democratic Party, but you can still I'm still voting in the elections, right? State, local, federal elections.
I'm sure almost exclusively for Democrats too, right?
Yes, literally. And like, I'm not voting third party. So I'm utilizing my vote as a strategic matter, but my faith am I going to bat for and caping for the establishment and all that shit? Fuck no.
Right.
So maybe that is a question that needs to be answered here, and a conversation that needs to be had among Black women of like, don't continue to sign up for this abusive relationship with them.
Yeah.
Use them as they are using you, but demand more.
Yes.
Jasmine should have given us more. She should have engaged with us more. She assumed that she was just going to get us, which she did.
Absolutely.
But she didn't have to show and prove. She didn't have to have an affirmative visionary message. She relied on being the establishment pick. And by getting that Kamala endorsement and the Cardi B endorsement.
And her being the establishment pick, I'm really even further confused as to how she lost in this way.
Ooh.
Because we're pointing to her not having a ground game being the reason that she won, when she is the one who's supposedly supposed to be inheriting some sort of machine as an establishment pick. So it does kind of seem like, was she kind of like not supported by the Democratic Party fully?
Right.
You know? I don't know.
That's actually a great point.
It just is like typically the establishment person has the door knockers and the canvassers off bat.
Right. Like that's why it's an uphill battle.
There's already some established infrastructure for that.
Right.
That she inherits as a result of being the person that the party is supposed to be pushing.
But also it's not like she was also a state lawmaker. Like she's at the federal level too. So I just am like really curious as to why the pockets weren't deeper, or she didn't have the phone calls she could pull.
From the Democratic Party.
Yeah, but then also it was kind of like, well, what are we fighting for her for? Like, is she like, what message is she running outside of, I'm Jasmine Crockett and I can beat Trump? And no one was talking about this election until I jumped in. Like,
right. And Trump says my name a lot, so
that was what her whole launch video was about. Was Trump saying she had a low IQ? I think that will literally age so poorly. Like
it did, clearly, right?
Of course, the spokesperson from Crockett's campaign pushed back on the criticism of her campaign, saying it came from Monday morning quarterbacks. A former deputy campaign manager, Carol Rimmel, said, quote, "This was the most expensive Democratic primary ever in Texas, with the overwhelming majority of dollars being spent on attack ads against the Congresswoman."
That makes sense. So for a primary.
Of course, yeah. Despite being outspent, she held our own and excited an untapped base of support for Democrats with record numbers of first-time primary voters. There also was the intentional voter suppression of voters in Dallas and Williamson counties that cannot be ignored. Absolutely. Now, of course, that's the other side of this tale too. There was insane voter suppression coming from the Republicans. And essentially, instead of doing countywide elections where you could go anywhere in the county, they switched where your voting location was going to be. So then on primary election day, people were like, whoa, where am I supposed to go vote? Yeah. They were turned away. And of course, it's like you take, you're not off on election day. So you probably take your lunch break, or you take like a small
time after work, and you have a very small window of making it. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's kind of like, so whatever. So then the Texas Supreme Court was like, stay in line. If you're in line, we're going to leave the polling locations open until 9. Ken Paxton sued or pushed back against that, appealed that. And so then they were like, okay, no, we're only going to count the votes of people who were in line at 7. So doing all this funny business in Dallas and Williamson County, which is where Jasmine was going to overperform and did overperform. Yeah. And also she lost some key cities and areas and swaths of people and lost flat out. That has to be said too.
Yeah, I will say that every ballot that was cast that night should be counted.
Yeah.
I saw on the news there were people who had voted in that location previously.
Yes.
That were turned away from said location.
Yes.
That makes absolutely no sense.
Right.
Especially knowing that these people came after work and that they are sitting in line for hour, 2 hours.
Yeah. Now, Crockett did concede to Talarico, even though initially at the election party, she was like, look, we won't know beyond tonight and we need to count all of our votes, which, that was a choice. Even though it was coming in for Talarico, but I do think I agree with you that all the votes cast need to be counted, etc.
Yeah.
But she did say that Democrats must rally around our nominees and win.
And I commend her for that.
Yeah.
Because I know in that moment she was definitely feeling so many emotions. You can see it on her face on that stage.
Something that's interesting though is that, she's still not putting out an affirmative message for Talarico. She's just as Democrats, we must rally around our nominees and win. And that's exactly what they did for Zoran, right? Yeah. When they were like, do you support, Zoran? Now that he's the nominee, they're like, well, all Democrats should support all nominees. And, it's just,
Andrew Cuomo runs as an independent.
Right. Instead of being like, look, I believe that Talarico will, just using your credibility to get him over the edge, because it's about beating the Republicans. It's not about you versus him or whatever.
Right.
So,
and I feel like that should have been a layup for her, considering how nice the fucking campaign was from Talarico.
Yeah.
I feel like there was never any mudslinging.
No.
on his part.
Not that we saw. I mean, unless it was behind the scenes. But
But the debate was very amicable.
Yeah.
I think from both parties.
Right.
I never saw an attack ad on her, not one. So I feel like, personally, she should be able to get behind him with ease. I think that she will, and I think that her base of support will as well.
Yeah, I really hope so. It says that Democrats for years have praised Black women as the backbone of the party, and Crockett, a former civil rights attorney and criminal defense lawyer, rose to prominence in part by viral moments from House hearings. And then, like Morg said earlier, like, she was one of the like fiercest people standing up against Doge and against Elon and things like that.
It felt like she was the only one talking.
Yeah.
For a solid 2 months, whenever they were cutting program after program, assistance for literally veterans, like it was just getting so ugly. I feel like she did such a good job of being strong in that moment. Yes,
and that's why like she's an incredible communicator because other people were speaking out, but the way in which she communicated reached people beyond what the party was doing, which is why it's just so shocking that didn't translate here. But it's like, well, what message are you sending?
Because think about it, if her campaign was this week and she still was able to get within 6%?
Yeah, single digits.
Based solely on that, based solely on that name recognition.
Right.
And so it's just unfortunate that she didn't have a better machine underneath her and that she wasn't more prepared for this moment.
Yeah, like how did she not have an affirmative message to run on? Like it was like, we're going to fight for Texas. Okay, like what does that mean? Like fight for what? Like it can't just be fight against Trump. Like and the establishment writ large is going to have to find something else. Like
absolutely,
that's just the new way of our politics. You're going to have to lock down on like 2 or 3 or 4 main policy positions that you can repeat, that your voters and constituents can repeat. Like I was always whipping out the political reform blueprint out of my pocket when people were like, why are you supporting Talarico? It'd be like, well, he wants to ban congressional stock trading. He wants to ban super PACs. He wants to ban gerrymandering. Like I can list off like 3 or 4 already. He's spoken about AI surveillance in the workplace. Like I know what he's running on because he's fucking running on it.
And this stuff is memorable because you could just literally list it off in that way. And then also, these are things that we have to do in order to protect democracy. Because democracy is absolutely under attack. And he's saying the exact things, the exact policies that have to be passed in order to keep democracy around for the next 250 years of America, if it is to be.
Yeah. Yes, if we make it there. Okay, so throughout the primary, Crockett faced constant questions about her viability and campaign decisions, including whether she hired enough staff. Bingo. This is another like, okay, we're talking about like, we don't even have the people to like run this operation.
And like, we keep going back to not having door knockers in that machine. That is clear that she did not have enough staff. And I think that was a strategic thing in that they thought social media would be enough in that name recognition.
They did.
But that was a miscalculation, in my opinion, just because we all have different algorithms. We're all siloed into different, aspects of the internet.
Right.
And so I think there are a fair amount of people, especially in like the Rio Grande Valley, who just don't come across the Jasmine Crockett
video.
Moment, like something that we would see time and time again is just something they haven't interacted with one time.
Yeah, and like what I saw was like the AI baby ad, and I saw the Cardi B thing, and then I saw like the one where it had like the AI crowd in the back, at the very end. And so I don't know.
Yeah.
That turned me off. Like
that's not good. I just feel like the actual thing that the Democratic Party has to like learn from this experience is that we cannot put all of our eggs in the basket of the internet.
No, it's not about the and that's the thing. That's the thing that they took away, like the wrong thing they took away from Mamdani. They were like, all we got to do is walk and put the letters at the bottom and like do the cuts.
No, nigga, imitate what he's doing, and that'll be no.
But not say shit. It's like, what the fuck are you saying and doing? Like,
policy.
Like put the policies in the bag. I always say that. Like, give us the fucking tangible material policies that will change our lives, or at least go in the right direction. Shit.
And make them short, concise sentences
that we can get. Yes. Fuck. She also faced criticism that the get out the vote efforts were virtually non-existent. That is so unacceptable.
It always comes back to not having that ground game.
Yep.
And we got to juxtapose here because we got to give Talarico a little bit of credit here. I saw that his campaign manager said they did 575 in-person community events throughout Texas, every region of Texas, within 3 months.
Yeah.
He outworked her by a lot.
Yeah.
And so, I mean,
and it was targeted, and it was like you could tell there was continuity, whether you saw him on any platform, on the TV, whatever, out in the field, town halls. It was all. It just felt Talarico. Like it had, and that's the thing. It had a rudder, it had an engine, it had a purpose, and you could feel that.
He was out there. He met these people. He shook their hands.
popped up in their town of like 500 people, you know?
Yeah, he connected, and that's where she lost.
Right. This person says, quote, she ran a fucking terrible campaign that many will question if she's running a campaign at all, said one Black National Democratic operative granted anonymity to give a candid assessment of Crockett's campaign. Crockett staked much of her political campaign on her ability to connect with young voters and rebuked her party for trying to win Republicans instead of wooing hard to reach Democrats that have grown frustrated with the party.
How do you feel about that statement? Because I do also kind of share that sentiment. I don't like the trying to flip a MAGA person necessarily.
Yeah, me either.
Even though they are somebody who goes to vote consistently, I think our time and efforts are better spent trying to get people who aren't politically engaged, who don't go vote.
I agree with that assessment. And I think the party should engage the base. They did not do that in 2024, which is why they lost. They're also not explicitly anti-war, even though 80% of the base doesn't want war, right?
Yeah.
That part. I agree. We should stop trying to win Republicans and also understand that a message of economic populism wins over Republicans and moderates without trying to win Republicans and moderates. Yes. Because this is what basically you mean when you say that, or when the party has historically said that. When we're trying to win Republicans and independents, we stop with the woke stuff and we become anti-immigrant, anti-trans. We become conservative in terms of immigration, the way we talk about that, the economy, etc., war, policing. We say we're tough on crime. I don't think we should do that. But I do think that we should have a universal enough message to where we could pick up Republicans and independents in places like Texas where they're needed. But then like a record number of Republicans voted in the Democratic primary this year. I think that's great. We want to turn that out. But I think you almost want to cast a wide net, and whoever comes in. Yeah. That is going to reach hard to reach Democrats and independents and moderates and Republicans. Yeah. Like I think that's more so what Talarico did than say, let me try to be as conservative as I can to try to get Republicans in. He didn't do that.
Nobody wants diet Republican.
No, and he didn't do that. Diet Republican would have lost him this race if that's what he was running.
Absolutely.
Like that's what it lost the Kamala, the Harris campaign. Like, so I agree. We should not be trying to reach Republicans. We should try to get, disaffected voters. But like Jasmine, baby, when you were also asked about why the base was leaving the Democratic Party, you were like, well, they know not what they do. They don't know that these, Republicans are crazier and they want to sit up here and they want to protest Joe Biden and they want to protest. Like you were antagonistic to that. So it's like, while I agree, I think you should take your own advice as well. A lot of your base was pressing you on AIPAC, was pressing you on Israel. And you said, well, the relationship is going to last for longer. And, I reacted a couple of days ago and you were like, we need them for intel. A civil rights attorney not speaking out against genocide and apartheid is unacceptable as well. So you're not wooing hard to reach Democrats. That would really get you over the edge with a lot of people, because it's not just a lefty fringe issue anymore. This is 70% of the Democratic Party that believes this way, and probably more since the last time I checked that poll from Pew.
But she is bought and paid for by the war machine, BlackRock, Lockheed Martin.
Yep.
So
and crypto.
What could we expect?
So, by contrast, Talarico was praised by many Democrats for the way he leaned into his seminarian background as a way to appeal to progressives, independents, and disillusioned Republicans. I mean, he leaned into his seminarian background by saying Jesus was anti-oligarch. So yes, he was leaning into the Jesus shit, but like, he was delivering an anti-oligarch message. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, so it's like, I know that he, codes as more Republican and moderate, and he is doing the like youth pastor thing, but he's also using that to be like, we need to welcome immigrants and we need to tax billionaires out of existence. Yes. Like, that's a progressive message.
Incredibly important, because the Christian nationalist movement scares me more than anything.
That
is going on currently in this country. And we got to be real about who Jesus Christ was. We got to like actually reel these insane fanatics in and like actually have them open up that Bible and read it and take it seriously.
Yep, exactly.
Instead of just listening to their pastor and being sheep-led.
Exactly. I think that's also how he was able to capture those people, because again, like those people vote along racial lines and religious lines, and so they just go for the white Christian. And so for the fact that the white Christian in this race wasn't just the Republican, kind of diced it up because it was like, well, okay, this is a Christian, this is a Christian. He has a more affirmative message and it's calling out the people that are fucking my life over. You know, so that's how you get disillusioned Republicans, not by being more conservative.
I love the way that he goes about it because he does tell the story of Jesus in a much more honest and earnest way.
I agree.
Jesus was amongst the prostitutes and pimps. Like, he was a man of the people, a leftist of his time. So
and against the state
who's saying that,
like, he was against the establishment, he was against the Roman Empire, he was against the people taxing the people in the church, like, exactly. So that's a great interpretation of what actually happened. I mean, if you know,
open up that Bible and take it serious, baby.
Exactly.
Don't just focus on one.
Okay, let's see. Co-founder of the Collective PAC, which works to elect Black candidates to local, state, and federal offices, Stephanie Brown James says, in many ways, she has been and has felt like a woman on an island. Even though she has substance, not everybody likes her style. And I think that sometimes her style is one that is not appealing, especially to the old guard Democrats whose fighting style is antiquated and outdated.
So this is kind of like getting to that misogynoir, I believe, within the Democratic Party, and maybe why she didn't have as much of a machine or as much support.
Yeah.
Because it does kind of look like she was a bit on an island. Like, she definitely wasn't as prepared for this as Talarico, seemingly.
But think about the person who is replacing her in her seat, Reverend Frederick Douglass Haynes. He ran on the Justice Democrat slate and had an infrastructure behind him and had support behind him by going with the Tea Party, the Justice Democrats that supported the progressive to leftist slate of people who are running in primaries. So it's like, again, of course you're going to be on an island in the Democratic Party, but there's this other Tea Party apparatus that's being built where progressives are banding together and voting for each other and supporting and endorsing each other. But you can't quite go over to that side. Why not?
She's taking money from the wrong people, baby.
But I mean, you know, it's like, it's just something to think about, is that, like, well, okay, there are collectives out there and kind of flanks and blocks that are kind of, you know, coalescing
options. But seemingly it's just crazy that she wouldn't have something already there for her from the establishment.
Interesting.
It is.
I'm interested to know, like, the behind the scenes, like, inner workings of that organization. State and national Democrats acknowledged that Talarico built a strong campaign that shored up grassroots support and built a statewide infrastructure long before Crockett entered the primary in December, because she did enter late, just months before voters began casting their ballots. He was able to raise money quickly, establish a field and digital plan, and craft a message that cast him as a fighter and someone who would bring down high costs. So again, we've got strong campaign infrastructure, grassroots support, statewide infrastructure for months before Crockett even entered the race. So he had that head start, right?
He did.
But then she wasn't able to catch up. And he was able to raise a lot of money really quickly. I did see that after the Colbert fiasco, where the FCC, well, not the FCC, but the lawyers made Colbert pull the interview off the air, whatever, it was posted online. He raised like $2.2 million in 24 hours after that too. Like, he had just a lot of support. And it was mainly from small dollar donations and like a grassroots effort. Even if PACs entered in, like, I'm not sure, but I know that it was largely small dollar donations, which says a lot. Yeah,
that goes back to him actually being in these communities and actually shaking these people's hands and letting them know that I am here connecting with your issues and I understand what you want from me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to deliver for you.
Exactly. Some Democrats anticipate Talarico's victory is going to ignite a fresh round of uncomfortable conversations among insiders about the importance race, gender, and identity politics will play in Democratic political circles moving forward. I would like to point out that Ayanna Pressley, Summer Lee, Ilhan Omar are three Black women progressives that have strongholds on the seats that they have in Congress. And so, like,
they have to be pushed.
They have to be
Summer
pushed.
Lee especially. She is so good. Like, she is just as dynamic and as charismatic as Jasmine.
Yeah.
You need somebody like her being centered in the party.
Exactly. I don't like how, like, and basically you see those are the ones that are starting to rise to the top, because like Ilhan Omar, I think, is even a better comp to Jasmine that like will cuss on the news and will she was shouting in the middle of the State of the Union. Like, there are
Ilhan look gangster.
She almost like beat that man down, running up on her on the.
She did not leave after she got sprayed by that.
No, she was like, I'm gonna continue. Like, they want us to be scared. Like, what the fuck? So it's like, when we talk about fighters, but she's explicitly anti-genocide, anti-war, anti-billionaire, like, you know, pro Medicare for all. She was one of the founding members of the Squad.
Yes.
Like, so that energy can exist within the party and can be supported within, if you're running, to represent your people.
Yes.
You just have to be running on some shit that's not bullshit. Sorry, to be frank, on an affirmative message that's actually going to help your constituents, that people resonate with, not just nationally, but like where you're fucking from too. The way that we have seen people rally around new, more untested white male candidates is troubling, said Maya Rupert, a Democratic strategist who served as the campaign manager of Julian Castro's 2020 presidential campaign. While she is excited about Talarico's domination against what she called a very weak Republican field, Rupert said Crockett's loss will continue to sting for months to come, especially with few opportunities beyond Texas for Black women candidates to win in statewide contests. There's a lot of people who see this and see a very qualified, very popular Black woman that once again feels like people fail to appreciate the strength of. And that is a very dangerous position for the party to be in. I think this is more of a question of like, Jasmine is an Energizer bunny with really sharp political talents, and she's brilliant. But what script is she reading from? What message, what principles, what values, what beliefs is she standing on?
Yeah.
So you can have all that energy, but I think it needs to be channeled, not just opposing the obvious, which is corrupt Republicans that we know ain't shit. They're always taking money from poor people. They're always fucking people over. They're just doing it on like larger scales right now. What we need is when you zoom in a little bit more, you get a little bit more granular. What is your stance on billionaires? What is your stance on insider trading? What is your stance on like these loopholes, these super PACs, crypto, the tech oligarchy, BlackRock, genocide, war? What are we doing here? You got to clarify a little bit more on that. And it can't just be Medicare for all and Republicans bad. Like, fuck. Like,
yeah. And unfortunately, she failed to do that. And every time she would get on an interview, especially with like Black people involved, as the interviewer, she gave word salad. She gave like a bunch of nothing. And I'm sorry, but that's just not going to cut it moving further from this point, especially with the war in Iran and throughout that region.
Yeah.
With what's still going on, the famine in Israel, and our blind allegiance to Bibi Netanyahu and his war crimes. It's just literally not going to cut it for the average everyday American who isn't going to benefit from any of this nonsense.
Exactly. And also, that's a great point. And coupled with that, this type of campaign and this type of candidate where you have the establishment embodied in a 30-something-year-old person or a 40-something-year-old person, which is like, even now you can't just be like, oh, they're young, check. You really got to zoom in and be like, well, what the fuck do you actually like stand on, right? Because a lot of these millennials are just embodying these 60 to 80-year-old politics.
The word salad,
the consulting, the focus groups, the just standing with the status quo that to your point is serving no one. But also that's not going to work because we have proof of candidates who are winning with democratic socialism. Like, and it's not just Zoran at this point. It's not just the mayor of Chicago. It's not the new mayor of Seattle. Even Graham Plattner, who's running in Maine, who's probably going to win his seat. Bernie Sanders, AOC, Summer Lee, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar. The proliferation of those people as antidotes to this fascism, that is going to make candidates like this pale in comparison. It's not going to hit. Why aren't you like at AOC side? Why aren't you like, associating with the more progressive flank of your party? And same question for Talarico. Like, you're going to have to continue to progress and be pulled. And I do think that based on the lack of allegiances he has to these, BlackRock, Lockheed Martin, whatever, it seems that he could be pulled more to the left, but we'll have to see because this is not enough.
I mean, based on his rhetoric, that's certainly where it seems like he's going to have to go. And if he's going to beat Cornyn, because it's going to be tough to beat Cornyn, especially if it is Cornyn. And I do believe it will be. So, I mean, he's really going to have to, because you got to think about it. In America, the pendulum swings, right? We have rarely seen it swing this far in magnitude to the right. Rarely. Like, this is beyond Nixon. This is right there with Reagan. I feel like. If not further than Reagan, considering Reagan had Israel on a leash of some sort. Israel has us on a leash, seemingly right now. So we're going to have to let that, we're going to have to acknowledge that and realize that we're going to have to swing all the way in an equal magnitude to the left in order to balance that out and in order to actually be victorious in November.
Exactly. And nationally, I mean, I'm talking about as a party.
We have to be FDR in this moment. We got to go full FDR.
Yes.
Feed the fucking streets. That's what we running on.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's, I mean, you cannot ignore that is resonating with people right now.
Look at Zoran.
I was gonna say
he's doing everything he said.
And beyond that, yeah, he ran on the shit. He's keeping his promises. He's fighting like hell too. And even if he can't, he explains to the people why. Yes. But then also the parks and recreation, the just make the beautification of the city, giving people $30 an hour to like shovel the snow. And also he won 1 in 10 MAGA voters. Like, people of all stripes are disillusioned. And to your point, we will have to swing to the left at the same magnitude. And that's more closer to socialism than it is this establishment shit.
And it's very possible. It's very possible to win in this way.
Yeah.
Zoran's a great example, but I would say the president of Mexico is a better example, considering she's a woman leftist.
Yep.
That won in a patriarchal society like Mexico.
Mexico, yeah.
And so, I mean, it's just a lot of examples. Spain also has a leftist leader right now. So it's just a lot of examples throughout the world where leftists can win and actually do the things that they promise.
Exactly. And I think that in a place like Texas, we were told that an economically populist message wasn't gonna work because we're not in a blue state like New York. And then we saw Talarico run on a top versus bottom strategy and pulled the dub in Texas.
Chaos.
We don't have to throw trans people under the bus or minorities under the bus or immigrants under the fucking bus in the Bible Belt in order to win as Democrats. We don't have to be pro-life. This was a fucking Christian, pro-choice, pro-immigrant, anti-billionaire, anti-corrupt white boy. Like, it can be done. And I think there's a lot of lessons that we can learn from this campaign. Obviously, we don't have all the exit poll data. Like, it will still have to wait for votes to be counted to see how, lawsuits suing over votes. And we'll just have to see how it plays out. And we can definitely come back and give some more of our thoughts. But I just thought this was a good just jumping off point for us to kind of share our thoughts, nuanced thoughts about like her running and Talarico and all this. And I kind of want to just end with watching Talarico's victory speech, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
But any like last thoughts about this article? Did you like it? Did you agree with it?
I definitely agree with a lot of the points that the article made.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a little like upset, that she didn't have a better infrastructure.
Yeah.
I do believe that is like some Democratic Party, this stuff is politics. Like, if you're not loved, if you're not supported within your party, you don't have the greatest shot of winning, whether you have name recognition or not. So True. I do believe she was failed within her party more so than anything else.
Right.
But also she did herself no favors. She didn't get that issues page up at all, seemingly.
And then when she got it up, it had severe typos.
It was like 2 weeks before we were like literally early voting. So it's like by that time, I don't even know what you're running on. And so no door knockers, no canvassers, no yard signs. It was just very much so like a shot in the dark for her to win,
Yeah.
And so I definitely don't think she did herself any favors,
and I don't want to assume that she just has all this hubris, but that also is what it gave. It gave, I'm going to jump in late because I'm Jasmine Crockett, and I'm going to win because I'm Jasmine Crockett. Everyone knows me.
Within 6% because she's Jasmine Crockett.
Exactly. That's it.
Like, there was some validity to that, but you have to still like message to the people and give us something to hang on to and to actually inspire and to actually like aspire for.
Yeah, like vote for. Like, okay, It's you, and then what? Like, what else? So I just wanted to point that out. It's like I don't want it to be taken as just so like bash, but it's like, these are public servants.
Yes.
This is your fucking job.
Yes.
To run and win and to run and win in order to secure wins for your constituents. And so like we give critique and accountability where it's due.
Right.
We're constituents. We're in Dallas. We're in Texas. Yeah. We're Black. We have interest in that regard, yes. Obviously. And so
as Black people, of course, we want to root for the Black person. Like,
yeah.
Of course.
But
you got to give us something to actually like root for outside of you being you and you being Black.
Right.
And I will say like there's only been 12 Black senators in the United States, like in history.
Yeah.
And so knowing that, why are you not doing everything you can? Why are you not more prepared for this? Knowing that this is such, like, this will be history if you want. Like, this is such an endeavor.
But like, even the debate we watched, we were like, damn, like, she just didn't prepare for it. Like running out of time, not fleshing out your answers, like just not knowing how you don't know. Like, I get the issues page is like a fucking website thing, but how you just don't rhetorically know. Like even before James had an issues page up, because he took a while to put his up, but before he even had an issues page up, he was rhetorically doubling down on the top versus bottom thing. So you just knew what he was running on, an anti-corruption, anti-billionaire message, pro-working class message, before he even put the issues up. And then the issues pages go up and it's so detailed and you're like, oh, that's great. But it's like, you couldn't even like say what you were.
Definitely not in a timely manner. So
yeah. So to close us out, we'll watch his victory speech just to see who our potential new senator will be, and what he has to say to the people when he won.
Thank you all so much. Thank you. Thank you, Hilda. Thank you all for being here. One thing is clear today. We're about to take back Texas. To the billionaires who have taken over our state and taken over our country, your unchecked power is coming to an end.
Okay, out the gate. We're 30 seconds. We're 38 seconds in. Okay, that gave me a little chill. He was like, let me thank my people first. But you're on fucking notice. Does this not remind you of when Mom Bounty won and he was like, okay, what did he say? Turn up the heat or whatever the fuck. Turn up the volume. Yeah. But immediately coming out the gate and being like, to the billionaires. Yes. This is what Talarico for Texas is about. It's an anti-billionaire campaign.
And I love that. We got to get the billionaires out of politics. Otherwise, we'll continue to suffer. And our material conditions will get worse.
Yes.
They're that greedy.
They're that fucking greedy.
Check the Epstein files. They eat niggas. They eat niggas.
Like literally. Woo! Yeah.
To the billionaires who have taken over our state and taken over our country, your unchecked power is coming to an end. Your days dividing working people are numbered. To the people of Texas, no matter how you voted in the primary, this election is our chance to take power back for ourselves and our communities. We're done being divided. We're done being played. We're done being pitted against each other. That old politics is dying. And a new politics is being born through all of us. I want to start off by thanking Congresswoman Crockett. She is a colleague and a friend. I am so grateful for her voice and her leadership. It was an honor to run this race with her.
That's class. That's definitely classy.
He's classy, and he's always been very positive and like conciliatory towards her throughout this entire campaign. Yeah. And almost to the point where you're like, nigga, okay, you're running against her, right? But it's, it's always been good. But I think he also has the self-awareness of the field to know, I don't need to add any fuel to that fucking fire. Yeah.
And I know he had the little Colin Allred situation where he called him mediocre. I don't think that was necessarily motivated by race by any means. Yeah. But I think he also has the ability to conceptualize America in enough of a way to realize that she is dealing with the misogynoir element too. Yes. And so I do believe he did a good job of not throwing dirt on her.
And playing into it. That, exactly. Yeah.
To run this race with her. To the Congresswoman's supporters, I know I wasn't your first choice, but I hope to earn your trust and earn your support. As your Democratic nominee, it's on me to ensure you feel welcomed in, represented by, and proud of this campaign.
I think represented by is the key term there too.
Yep.
Together, we're going to do something extraordinary. We launched this underdog campaign 6 months ago in my hometown of Round Rock, Texas. And since then, tens of thousands of Texans have shown up to rally with us in every corner of this state, from Beaumont to El Paso, from Amarillo to Brownsville, and everywhere in between. We have recruited more than 28,000 volunteers who are doing the organizing work all over this state.
That's an insane volunteer base.
It is.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And we have shattered grassroots fundraising records, all without taking a dime from corporate PACs.
That's key.
That's key.
That's a really good precedent to set.
Yeah, keep your soul.
And also, that's kind of like, it almost automatically makes you more beholden to your constituents because you literally rely on them and not these big dollar donations. Like, you have to go door knock. You have to fundraise.
Yes, and when you read the Constitution, I think that's what the Founding Fathers intended to be the political system.
This is a people-powered movement to take on this broken, corrupt political system. This is truly a campaign of, by, and for the people. We're not just trying to win an election. We are trying to fundamentally change our politics. My granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas, and he told me at an early age that we follow a barefoot rabbi who gave us 2 commandments: love God and love neighbor. My faith teaches me to love my neighbor as myself. Not just my neighbor who looks like me, not just my neighbor who prays like me, not just my neighbor who votes like me. I am called to love all of my neighbors the way I love myself.
And that's why, like, he's a great antidote to the Christian nationalism, because it's like a fascist, like, it's like a Christo-fascist movement that's inherently exclusionary and like eugenicist, which is anti-Christian.
It is.
Like, it's like, yeah.
The coercing the word, you know?
Exactly.
That's what motivated me to go into public service. First as a public school teacher on the west side of San Antonio, and now as a public official. As a legislator, I've brought Democrats and Republicans together to take on corporate special interests, to lower the cost of housing, lower the cost of childcare, lower the cost of prescription drugs, including insulin. I am trying to love my neighbor through public policy. I'm trying to make my neighbor's life a little easier and a little better. But that kind of love in our politics has become hard to find.
And also something that, like, where you can see the moderate sprinkles and the liberal sprinkles. It's like, you know, I'm fighting to make your life just a little bit easier, a little bit better. Like, the incrementalism is kind of built into that.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, but then, you know, you have kind of that top-down approach where it is a radical approach to ban gerrymandering, ban super PACs, bans, you know. So he's kind of balancing both of those things, where some parts of it are a little bit more, where he's like, okay, we're going to be bipartisan, so it's going to be incremental because it's bipartisan. And then there's some other things where it's like, these are non-negotiables. So I
think positing it as incremental, though, is important. I think that kind of cues to voters that it's realistic. Because I think whenever you promise too many big things at one time, people stop taking you serious.
That's a great point. It's like it signals pragmatism.
It does.
And that, like, hey, the constituents know that shit's not going to happen overnight, because it's not.
Especially the 3 million independent voters here in Texas.
Yeah.
There is something broken in America. Our economy is broken. Our political system is broken. Even our relationships with each other feel broken. And that's because the most powerful people in the world want it that way. The billionaires who own the social media algorithms, who own the cable news networks, who own the politicians fighting on our screens, they want us at each other's throats. They want us focused on how we're different instead of on how we're the same, because our unity is a threat to their wealth and their power.
Yeah.
So they divide us on an hourly basis by party, by race, by gender, by religion. So we don't notice that they are picking our pockets. They are closing our schools. They're gutting our healthcare. They're raising taxes on all of us while they cut taxes for themselves. The real fight in this country is not left versus right. It's top versus bottom.
when he's repeated that so much over the stump speeches over the trail, and it's at this point where, you know, you can almost hear people finish the sentence, and that's the like a big crescendo moment in the speech.
Yeah, that's usually how he'll end. His speeches. And
everyone's like, you know, but this is like, you know, in the middle of it to get another kind of, but it's a highlight. People really resonate with that.
It's a winning message.
It's top versus bottom. Those billionaires want us looking left and right at our neighbors instead of looking up at them. They want to keep us from seeing all that we have in common. They want to keep us from realizing that there is far more that unites us than divides us. Because despite our differences, we all really want the same things: a safe neighborhood, a good job with good benefits, a high quality, well-funded public school, and the ability to see a doctor when we need one. I am tired of being pitted against my neighbor. I'm tired of being told to hate my neighbor. It's been more than 10 years of this kind of politics. Politics as blood sport. Politics as trolling and owning. Politics as total war. It tears families apart. It ends friendships, and it leaves us all feeling terrible all the time. We cannot defeat the politics of division with more division. We can't win their game. We have to change the game. This campaign is rooted in a fierce love for this state, for this country, and most importantly, for all of our neighbors. If you hate politics and you've never voted before, you have a home in this campaign. If you have voted for Democrats, but you're tired of DC Democrats always folding, you have a home in this campaign.
You hear that applause? Fuck!
They got to move.
Okay.
And if you voted for Donald Trump, but you are fed up with the extremism and the corruption in our government, you also have a home in this campaign.
That's what it's about. It's like there's a myriad of systems and reasons why someone will be propagandized to like vote against their interests. Right. They're not just fucking evil bad people. That's a lazy analysis. Some of them are fucking evil, but the most I think are heavily propagandized, heavily overworked, heavily underpaid, lied to. Like, come on, like, and we kind of have to, like, as politicians, you have to be adults and treat them like that, you know.
People across the political spectrum are hungry for a new kind of politics, not a politics of fear, not a politics of hate, not a politics of division, but a politics of love. A love that can heal what's broken in America. This new kind of politics is being born right here in the Lone Star State. The number of young people who showed up to vote in this election is unprecedented. The number of Texans who have never voted before but showed up in this election is unprecedented. The number of independents and Republicans who voted in this Democratic primary is unprecedented. There is something happening in Texas. The people of this state have given this country a little bit of hope. And a little bit of hope is a dangerous thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens in this Republican runoff. We already know who we're running against. The billionaire mega donors and their corrupt political system. Not any one politician, not any one political party. We are running against the broken system and the powerful people who broke it.
Literally.
Yep.
I love that.
Yep.
Because we don't even have to make Republicans the boogeyman or Trump the boogeyman or Elon the boogeyman. It's the billionaires.
It is.
And that knows no party at this point.
They're scared of the movement we are building. They're going to throw everything they have at us. They're going to call me a radical leftist. They're going to call me a fake Christian. They'll call our movement un-Texan, un-American. They'll call us a threat. The only truth is we are a threat. We're a threat to their corrupt system. 2,000 years ago, when the powerful few at the top hurt those at the bottom, that barefoot rabbi didn't stay in his room and pray. He walked into the seat of power and flipped over the tables of injustice. To those who love this state, to those who love this country, to those who love our neighbors, it's time to start flipping tables. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for being in this fight. God bless y'all. Thank you.
Wow. What did you think about that speech?
That was riveting. Honestly, that is the right message to actually make sure that we win in November.
Yeah.
It is going to be an uphill battle against Cornyn. I was really hoping it would be Paxton because he does have a long history of being corrupt, and he was just impeached, correct?
Yeah.
So that would have been a little bit more of an okie doke for somebody with the anti-corruption message like Talarico, but I still think that the field is ripe to beat the Republican Cornyn, even though he has been in that seat
forever. Yeah, I think so too, because I love the way that he said it doesn't matter who wins the Republican nomination. We know who we're going against in November. Yeah. They're mega donors. So I like how he's not even, he's like, you know what? I don't even need to like message against Cornyn or Paxton specifically, whoever it's going to be. We already know who we're going up against, which is why that anti-corruption message and the anti-billionaire message, it's always going to be salient and universal. Cause it's like, it doesn't even matter if it's got an R or a D in front of it. We're going up against you if you're a billionaire and you're trying to rig our politics. So
absolutely. And we have to protect democracy. So hopefully we can get it done. We're going to do our part. We're going to make sure that we go out and canvass. And make sure that we vote, of course.
Yes.
And we encourage everybody watching this, if you are in Texas, to do the same.
Yeah, make sure you early vote. Make sure you make your voting plan. I can also kind of put my little cheat sheet template in the description if you need that for like you and your friends in your county, whatever. But definitely try to get to early vote. Figure out what your polling location is. You know, just do all your homework.
Because they're going to do all the nonsense. You got to expect that. You got to anticipate that.
Yes.
It's going to be a ton of nonsense in November.
Yes.
But with that being said, y'all, thank you so much for watching the video. Make sure you guys like this video. Make sure you share it with somebody, especially if you're a Texan. And then also subscribe to the channel. Obviously, LATM, if you're not already subscribed to Look at the Material podcast. But also BK and Mogo, if you guys have a little music interest, definitely check us out on there. And we will see you guys
in the next video. Bye.